So hello and welcome to the Undiscovered Metric. Each month we interview different marketing and data industry leaders to explore how to measure the metrics that matter to them and how to stay ahead of the trends that are shaping marketing's future. I'm your host, Michelle Lagruda, and today's guest is Barry LaBov, a two-time Ernst Young Entrepreneur of the Year, a celebrated author, and the founder of LaBov, which is a marketing agency trusted by brands like Harley-Davidson, Audi, and the Macallan. And what makes Barry stand out from the rest is that he's built his career around one powerful idea, and that is differentiation. So in his work and in his podcast, Difference Talks, Barry helps companies escape the commodity trap and help them rediscover what makes them truly unique. So hello and welcome to the podcast, Barry. How are you doing?
I am doing great and I'm excited. I love your podcast, so I think we'll have a lot of fun today.
Great, me too. Thank you so much for joining us. So I'll just kick things right off. So can you tell us a bit about what differentiation means to you? I'd love to know how that idea has shaped your career and maybe what inspired you to take that messaging throughout your career and into your podcast.
Differentiation is my favorite word. It's a tough one. It's 6 syllables, 15 letters, and most people cannot pronounce it or spell it. But it is so important for all of us, either individually or as leaders at companies or brands, because otherwise everything looks alike, sounds alike, smells alike, and you have to then price like everybody else. You become a commodity. I learned this early on because I'm a washed up rock and roll musician. And when I was originally competing out there, there were hundreds of thousands of bands with singers that sounded and looked alike. And it's like, how do you ever stand out? And I learned a lot of things. Number one, differentiation is not the same thing as superiority. Differentiation means your character. It's something that makes you unique. And the thing that I've done with our book and our podcast is really try to spread the concept that not only do you understand and discover, don't try to create, discover what makes you unique, but something that's really wonderful is you celebrate it with the most important people first. The people who are part of it could be your employees, those who are really the people who are behind what you do.
That's a beautiful take. I definitely appreciate that discovery aspect. And I feel like that really kind of leans in more towards authenticity, which is just really key to put a marketing spin on that. So, a lot of marketers today still feel like data and creativity are at odds. And so I'd like to know, what role do you think that technology and data play in the creative process so they can actually help with marketers' creativity rather than hindering it and, maybe help support that differentiation?
Well, I think data and technology can be a great part of creativity. I think the only downside, Michelle, that I see is if we depend totally on the technology and we lose that authenticity you talked about. We routinely utilize technology and data to determine what is strongest about what our clients do, what do their competitors also promise, what resonates with people, etc. But when it all comes back down to it, we filter it through our talent, not our technology, and that's our people. And we go, okay, but does this really sound like your brand? Is this what you can truly live up to? So I think they work in concert together quite well.
Mm-hmm. I like that. That makes sense. And I feel like one issue that I see sometimes, I feel like sometimes there's so much data, it really helps you kind of lose sight of maybe your business goals in favor of vanity metrics. And I think that kind of also speaks to the issue that you kind of mentioned as well. You lose your core aspect in a sense.
Right. I think you can lose sight of what your vision is and what your passion is about if you cede all of your decision making to technology or data. And in a way you think, oh, I'm playing it safe, but you're really not. You're not playing it safe. You're actually bankrupting your opportunities because, again, as humans, we have to understand that it's our people that are behind the things we're doing. Our brand or our uniqueness is not something we can just go create this morning. It's something that is already inside of us. It's in our DNA.
Yeah. And to that point, do you Do you have any maybe like specific examples or anecdotes where you've seen where maybe data really ends up getting in the way of creativity instead of actually supporting it?
Well, yeah, I worked with a company that works in the stainless steel container industry, which does not sound exciting, but it is. And they created a manhole cover or a man lid for these stainless steel trailers that go down the highways. And based on their data, they decided they would lower their price because there were too many competitors out there. The only issue was they had an amazing breakthrough technology that they included in it. Their data said, don't raise a price. Their data said the market will not handle it. So they actually hid the uniqueness. They did not share it until they later realized that, you know what? Yes, the market for a mediocre product will not support a price increase. But if you have that unique technology that they had, the market will come and they will pay a premium. So that's an example. They went down that wrong path because of the assumptions they got from data.
That's a really great example. And it's nice that they had the opportunity to experience that and learn from it and then turn it around and say, okay, these are our learnings, these are our findings. Let's double down in the other direction then.
So it allowed them to sell more and make more money. But what was really great was it raised morale because they were able to say, hey, everybody, look at this great thing we all did together. We did this and nobody else does this, and this saves lives. Isn't this great? So it helped their morale as well. That's
really nice. Amazing. And then let me do a really quick pivot to very briefly talk about AI. So we all know that, AI is used to generate so many different types of content, but what do you think that we as marketers risk when we're handing the reins over to AI for writing and ideation?
Well, I think you just said it. We cannot hand the reins over. We utilize AI on a daily basis. I think AI has been very helpful for our company, but we cannot hand over those reins, as you said, because of a number of reasons. AI is going to give you a lot of really wonderful information incredibly quick, but where's the judgment? Where's the human element in it? And it has to be there. Not only do I see companies hand it over to AI, but I also see and experience the end result where I'm going, okay, AI did this. It's not how a human would say it. Or, wait a minute, they're saying the same thing as a number of other companies. It sounds good, but there's no originality. So we have to have a conscience. AI won't have a conscience, but it has an incredible brain. We just need to provide the conscience.
It all goes back to the differentiation, that human element, and kind of working in tandem. So that makes sense. Do you think that there's a role that data plays when kind of working in conjunction with AI to help with the ideation process?
I think data is fantastic. I think it can help support what is resonating. I think also it can lead you to say, now, wait a minute, we think we're making this statement, but it's not out there really getting the feedback we want. So why don't we back up a little bit? Let's not change who we are, but let's use some different words. Let's use a different language, let's say. There are 200,000 words in the English language. Maybe we can change a few of the words around that will resonate even better.
That's a great point. And especially, you might have your branding, your wording, and also the way us as humans consume things and comprehend things. It does evolve over time too. So it is kind of good, to your point, to continuously evaluate in that regard. And then do you think you could share an example of when data and creativity really work together to deliver a successful campaign?
Yeah, we worked with a company that did furniture for hospitals, so medical related furniture. And what was interesting was they were struggling, but they had really great product. Now, in our eyes, we thought the product looked a little dated, and it was kind of old style, but it was brilliantly put together. We couldn't figure out what the problem was. So what we did was we then used data. We then analyzed based on feedback from a number of different sources, their distributors and their customers. And we found that what was interesting was while the company claimed to be the leader in design, the design aspect of the furniture, the data came back rating them at the very bottom in design, which was shocking. And the leader couldn't believe it. And we said, okay, but this is the data. This is exactly what we have learned. And what we found out, Michelle, was it was semantics. The leader looked at design as exactly the same thing as engineering because he was an engineering genius. And he said, well, that's the same thing. And we said, no, not in the minds and the hearts of the people you are serving. Your design is dated. Your engineering is genius. The data is what told us that.
That's really interesting. Sometimes you really get the full story from unexpected places. This sounds like a classic, you have to bring together the left brain and the right brain. They had the logistics all there. They just need a coat of paint over it for an extreme lack of a better word. But
right. And you could think of all the years of struggle they had thinking, my gosh, we're the leaders in design. Nobody's buying this or nobody talks about us like this. What is wrong with these people? And the point was, no, you're not the leader in design. You're the leader in engineering. Very different in the minds of your customers. And it also enabled them, Michelle, to do something very interesting. They very quickly touted that they were the leader in engineering, and everybody goes, well, duh, you're right. But then they looked at their design and said, you know what, we can kind of freshen that up as well. So all of a sudden now they had a fresh design along with the world's leading engineering approach.
It sounds like it's a good problem to have, a great outcome at the end.
Well, it is a good problem to have if you discover what your differentiation is. It's a terribly frustrating problem if you keep going, I don't understand why people aren't buying more of this. Maybe we should change everything. Let's change our engineering as an example. Well, if they change that, then they lose everything because that was the only reason people were buying them.
Yeah, no, this is a really great example and from almost an unexpected place as well. But I think just like the principles in the story, like they really can apply to any industry, any product. So thank you for sharing that. What's interesting is because, as you kind of just mentioned, there's more than one type of creativity in marketing. It might not just be the copy or the semantics or the visuals, but it's, about figuring out how to drive your good ideas and make sure you're resonating with that audience, as you just mentioned. And one example, actually, that our team covered in the past, which I thought was really interesting, is there is a pharma company, and they were able to link public transit drop-offs, that data, with an increase in outbreaks of the flu. And they were able to use that data as a campaign trigger, which I just think is a compelling story to actually uncover within those seemingly separate data sets.
Wow.
So I'm interested to know is, how do you see this side of creativity evolving alongside maybe the more traditional static way of storytelling?
Well, I think one thing that's really important with storytelling is I think we're evolving and in a good way in that it's just not good enough to have a story. It has to have some meaning and significance. So, for instance, if I ran an ambulance company and said, yeah, we've been in business for 40 years and we have a 300 square foot facility and we produce 12 ambulances a day. It's like, well, who cares? Well, but that's my story. Okay, nobody's buying that. If we make it meaningful and unique to us, if we say, hey, 40 years ago, we started this company, 3 EMTs from the industry decided to make the safest ambulance. Now, most of our employees are volunteer firefighters or volunteer ambulance personnel, and we have now devised 3 of the industry's top safety innovations. And that's what we do every day. We look for ways to save and protect lives. You go, oh, okay. Now it's the same company, but it's a different story. And I think we've got to realize we're humans. It's like driving down a highway and seeing a billboard that means absolutely nothing to you. And you look at it and you go, I don't even know what that is. And by the time you think about it, you're a half mile down the road and you're done. And that's how a lousy story is. So if we can share a meaningful story that can touch people, where they go, okay, you're actually doing something valuable, then I think we've made a big impact.
I think that you're spot on there. It's all coming, everything we're talking about today just comes back to the human element, which is really nice. And what's funny, when you said a billboard ad, this isn't maybe not exactly the same, but it did bring to mind of when you see, specifically, notice this on highway billboards when there are companies that, or brands that maybe aren't by nature very meaningful work, but I feel like they almost supplement by having like silly ads, like I think traditionally those are like local injury attorney ads.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's almost the same thing. It's like, maybe we aren't able to have this very human centric story, but we can get them on like the more joking side of things. So, but it's speaking to the human rather than all kind of glazing over and having that very industry jargony branding. So just very interesting to think about.
Well, what you said, like with the pharma company that took data to determine outbreaks of flu. Okay, so I would say that pharma's differentiation very possibly was in their innovation and their insights, as an example, not necessarily what's inside their plant that's producing the pharma drug. Okay, so that's what they did. And when you're talking about some of the more unique ambulance chaser attorneys out there, and they're doing something funny, that also hopefully reflects on the fact that they might be very unique, quirky individuals with a lot of passion that understand people. And they're saying, look, we know an accident is a downer and it's a painful memory, but let's tackle this together and maybe we'll have a laugh or two as we succeed.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And then, looking forward, kind of taking this creativity a little bit further, looking forward, what do you think are some opportunities versus limitations of data and technology when it comes to kind of creating this brand differentiation?
I think the more we can tap into what is going on around us and in seconds know what the competition is promising, know what the competition is producing, look at what are the demands out there today, the more we can observe that and absorb that so that we can allow it to affect our creativity, the better. Basically in a period of 5 minutes, we could get enough information, data, insights to say, you know what, maybe we should be looking at doing blank. And it could be really good, and it's natural for us to do it. It's something that's part of our brand DNA. So I think it can be very, very valuable. I think it speeds up the pace if we do it right. Yeah,
I definitely agree with you there. Kind of going the hand-in-hand approach. And then that actually concludes our questions. Before I jump into the rapid fire questions, which are just the questions we give on every show, is there any other topic or anything that you'd like to cover?
I think we've done really well together. I think the thing I want to really cover briefly is the value of bringing, whether it's from the data or from the creativity, but bringing those insights to help our people feel that what they're doing is valuable. That will affect their quality performance. That will affect their retention. That will affect morale. Mm-hmm. It will be a company's competitive advantage when they do that.
I appreciate also when you say that you're looking at the competitive advantage from kind of like the internal human aspect of it as well, like the team behind it too, mm-hmm. rather than just those customer or prospect facing materials. That's a smart thing. I think sometimes it's easy to overlook.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. And then I'm going to jump into these last two rapid fire questions. First is, what overlooked metric do you think marketers should pay more attention to?
Repeat business, as opposed to, let's say, net promoter score. How often are you getting repeat business? The other one is, how often are you really getting referrals? So many times you'll say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely would you refer? If you say 10, how many times did you refer? So I think we have to get more granular.
And these are definitely, from my perspective, a bit more indicative measures of happiness to more tangible measures of brand satisfaction, product satisfaction in that regard. Thank you. And then 2, I would love to know, what are your go-to resources for marketing news and trends?
Go-to resources. I will use AI. I'll peruse LinkedIn, a number of different groups that I am part of. And in general, what I will do is our company will focus on the various industries we are working in to look at what are the latest trends, what are the latest breakthroughs that are going on, so that we feel we understand where that industry is headed.
Mm-hmm. That's key. You can't understand the industry problems unless you understand the industry itself. So definitely you can't skip out on that one. All right. Well, thank you so much, Barry, for sharing your insights today. We really appreciate your time. We had a great conversation. I know our listeners have a lot to look forward to in this episode. So until next time, thank you so much. Do you have any final parting words you'd like to share?
I welcome anybody to reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can find me there, Barry LaBov, or my company website, LaBov.com. Our book is on Amazon. It's called The Power of Differentiation. If you do buy it, please leave a very honest review. We love to read what people think of the book and the message.
Right. I'm sure based on this conversation today, I'm sure there's a lot of great insights for everyone to gather there. So thank you.
Thank you.